He's a little guy.
The I-6 maybe. Corridor. You typically do cold or room temperature? I haven't opened that one.
And we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Good evening. Welcome to the City Council meeting for Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. Mrs. Hilbrick, will you please call roll?
Yes, sir. Councilman De La Garza?
I am present.
Councilman Crocker?
Here.
Councilwoman Scott? Here. Mayor Pro Tem Young?
Here.
Councilman Lofgren?
Here.
And Mayor Bucknight?
Here.
And I have not heard from Councilwoman Solis.
Okay.
I talked to her earlier, but
Okay. If everyone will please rise for the pledges, followed by a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Well, good evening, Mr. Garza. Do you have any announcements and/or reminders?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I sure do. I have a few. On behalf of the Victoria Fire Department, we want to remind the public that this Friday, July 21st, they will be hosting the second annual Fire and Ice event from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Victoria Youth Complex, which is located at 211 North Ben Wilson. Participants must register in advance, so we ask folks to visit victoriatx.gov/fire for more information. On behalf of the Convention Visitors Bureau, we want to remind the public that applications for Hot Fund Awards will close July 31st, and we invite organizations and businesses who are interested in applying to attend one of the required workshops. We do have 2 remaining, one on July 20th and one on the 27th. But for more specific information, entities or individuals are invited to call the Convention Visitors office at 361-485-3116 or victoriatx.gov/CVB. I almost had it smooth, but I didn't. On behalf of the Parks Department, July continues to be Parks and Recreation Month, and so consequently, the Parks Department continues to have a slew of different activities. And so for those opportunities, we ask the public to visit the website for the Parks Department or their social media page. Also, the Parks and Recreation Commission has 4 openings available, and so we ask those that are interested in serving to submit applications by August 1st, and those can be found, of course, at our City Secretary's office or online at victoriatx.gov/boards and commissions. And if it's okay with you, Mayor, I'll transition to some recognitions.
Yes, please.
Okay. I want to start off by, since I ended with Parks, publicly thanking Jason Alfaro, who has served as our Parks and Recreation Director for nearly 3 years. After a little more than 20 years of public service, he's going to continue on and pursue a second career in the private sector, so to speak, to follow his passion as an arborist. And so we want to publicly simply say thank you to his years of service. You'll hear from him later this evening under the City Manager's report. But Jason, where are you at? There he is. Thank you for your service. All right, and then also, this is pretty neat. So on behalf of Keep Victoria Beautiful, this is an award that I'm about to explain. They received a Governor's Community Achievement Award of Excellence for communities with populations between 65,000 and 90,000. A community's environmental program is judged on achievements in 7 areas: community leadership and coordination, public awareness and outreach, environmental education and youth engagement, beautification and community improvement, litter prevention and cleanup, solid waste management, litter law, and illegal dumping enforcement. This was KVB's first year to enter, and because of all the extraordinary work that, of course, Daryl and Christy and their team accomplished, we scored over 90% on all of these different categories, which, of course, earned us this awesome award, which I hope we're going to put in a nice, fancy frame. Yes. Thank you. So thank you all for your hard work, and congratulations. And on that topic, I'm going to ask Krista Euchre to come up and help present this month's Beautification Award.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here again to joyfully introduce Meredith Bird, who will introduce our July beautification winner. We're a little late in the month, so we actually have a photo of the original photo taken at the place. So this is a unique opportunity. So Meredith Bird is our chairperson of Key Victoria Beautiful.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I'm going to start with saying our award recipient was not able to make it today, but she wanted to express her gratitude for receiving this award, and and her regret at not being able to be here this evening. So this Business Beautification Award, we like to celebrate businesses who go the extra mile, whatever that looks like. You know, depending on the size and the location and the type of property, that might be keeping on top of litter. It might be making sure the building is in good shape. And in tonight's case, our winner is the Fringe Salon downtown on Constitution Street. And Kelly's way of going the extra mile is to do a lot with a little space. And so as you're driving down on Constitution, the first thing you will probably notice is her vibrant purple paint on her storefront, setting it apart from her neighbors. And right after that, you'll see the gorgeous planters with vibrant foliage and colorful flowers. She really does a lot without any sort of green space to make her business stand out. And so for that reason, and Kelly has been a multiple nominee for this award, and so we are very happy to present Kelly Pierce with the July Business Beautification Award. She certainly deserves it. So like I said, on behalf of Kelly, I'm going to extend a thank you to the council. And I know that she would have been here if she could, but I let her know. We already did the pictures. We did the social media blast and everything. And so we'll be getting her certificate later this week. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, under recognitions, we have a very special one planned for you this evening. And so I want to ask Tiffany Toto to come up and introduce our special guests, which will make a special presentation to one of our very own.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm excited today to present this award to Maria for her certification and Landra Solansky, Court Administrator for Seguin and Texas Court Clerks Association President, along with Bonnie Townsend, Municipal Court Judge and Administrator for the City of Luling and President-elect for Texas Municipal Court Association, will be going over this presentation for Maria.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I've done this award several times, and so hopefully I can do it without my glasses. Thank you for allowing us to be here. The last time Judge Townsend and I were here, this community was recovering from Hurricane Harvey. I remember pulling in, there were trees down, there were stop signs that weren't working, or stoplights that weren't blinking, and everything was just down. And we came and we sat here with you guys for a couple of hours and listened to all the citizens' concerns, and then we got to present an award to Tiffany Tota. So I'm excited to be back. The streets look great. Everything looks really good. We went shopping on our way in, so we love coming to Victoria.
Thank you for your sales tax.
You're welcome, sir. So on behalf of the Texas Court Clerks Association and the Texas Municipal Courts Association, it is a pleasure to be here with you. We are here tonight to announce that out of approximately 3,000 court clerks in the state of Texas, you have one of only 134 certified municipal court clerks working for you and the citizens of Victoria. Miss Maria Bell. Maria gained her Level 3 certification on June 9th, 2023. I want to tell you what it means to become a level 3 clerk. She went through a lot. You have to qualify to receive this honor. So in order to gain the title of the Certified Municipal Court Clerk, a clerk must complete the requirements for level 1 and level 2 and then level 3. These requirements include 40 hours of continuing education and passing a 4-hour exam at each level. Additionally, a clerk must attend a 24-hour assessment clinic, complete 40 hours of court observation, write a journal and submit that after attending a 12-hour court administrator seminar. So as you can see, there's a lot of requirements and a lot of work that she had to do. Maria's involvement in this rigorous course of study confirms her dedication to the judicial system and the city of Victoria. On behalf of the Texas Court Clerks Association, in conjunction with the Texas Municipal Courts Association, the Texas Municipal Courts Education Center, and Texas State University in San Marcos, we are pleased to present Maria Bell with her Certified Municipal Court Clerk Certificate.
Here, look, I'll go stand back there and even it out.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
All right, well, congratulations and slight correction. So we have 2 out of 134. 9 or whatever the number was, and according to what Tiffany had communicated to us last week, is that our municipal court has never had 2 individuals with this level of certification, and so it definitely speaks volumes to, of course, our continued investment in professional development, our employees' continued investment in their own professional development, and a sign of just how our municipal court in general continues to grow and expand and modernize and improve, from becoming court of record to having more certified personnel. You know, it's all on the up and up. And so thank you for your support in that effort as well.
Wonderful. We're really, really impressed.
Yes. Great job.
Thank you.
All right. I don't know if there's anything else you can add after that.
No, we're good. That's why I saved that one to the end.
All right. Very good.
I would like to acknowledge that Councilwoman Solis did come attend the meeting. She got here at 5:03. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Items from council. Does anybody have anything?
Yes.
Yes, sir, Mr. Lofgren.
A neighbor asked me, and I'm concerned, I'd like to know what's going on with the streets in Castle Hills West, and I'd also like to know what's the progress on Dairy Road. Because I go by Dairy Road and I don't see anybody working on Dairy Road.
Okay, my name's Ken Gill. And I'm gonna go ahead and start with Dairy Road. They are 95% complete with all the storm sewer, which was a bunch of underground work, but they've got 30 feet left, and the water line is in the way. They're 50% complete with the water line replacement, the 16-inch water line, and they're still on track for completing the project in December. Like I said, they're waiting on getting the water line done. They have a boring contractor coming in tomorrow to do the bore under the creek. I expect the contractor to start street work late August, early September. But yeah, they're clipping along pretty good on that one. Castle Hills on the seal coat, we still are experiencing bleeding of the streets. Did some research myself just to verify that what we have done, we've put some what we call lime water out there. And Texas Tech University did some research years ago about what is the best process to stop the bleeding and what causes it. One of the biggest things that causes it across the state is temperatures when they get over 100 and you get high humidity, basically what we're hitting right now. The asphalt never got a chance to cure it. It's best curing temperatures between 90 to 95, plus or minus, but we got through sealing it and those temperatures spiked up to 100. They put the lime water out there. It's really helped a lot. It is the actual preferred method across the state and across other states. And it's improved. One thing we are seeing, and we may have to take some, hit it again, is the intersections. That's where all the turning movement is. That's always the problematic part of any street is the intersections. But it is getting better. I drove it last, I think, Monday, and it is getting better. It's just getting that asphalt cured.
Do they need to put more lime water?
We may need to put some more. I know the contractor, their water truck is out. I'll be honest, they're out of town. But we do have a water truck and we could do it. I'd rather just keep it limited to the intersections because the rest of it's doing better. But again, I noticed the intersection at Kingsway and Salem that one's bleeding pretty good. So I may see if I can get streets to get out there and just put some water on those intersections.
There was a truck doing patches out there one day. There are some holes now that never existed before.
Yes, and that's something, once we get through these high temperatures, which I hope, and it settles the street, I call it settling down, we're gonna get out there with the contractor and look at everything we need to repair. And they're aware of that.
Okay. So after everything settles down, then they're
Yes.
going to put something?
Yes, and they're still, remember, we still have them under contract because they're coming in later this year to do Colony Creek, Dudley, and some other streets. So they're still under contract.
Okay, thank you.
And once it settles down and you do the repairs, do you do another layer of onyx or you
We
don't know
may
yet?
end up doing some onyx out there. We just don't, until we get it. I want to get that lime water off of there to see what's really out there. It's hard to see once that water's there. I know the onyx has done a lot of good. I mean, people will say it didn't, but I've had experience where we didn't do the onyx, and when a street bled, I mean, it was enough to where you could put another layer of rock on it. This one, as I went through it, doing that, all it would make is a gravel street. It's not bleeding enough where that rock can stick. It would just make it gravel. But so onyx has done its job.
It would also be nice if they would come out and sweep the gravel out of all the gutters. I mean, we haven't had any rain, but if we have any rain, some of the sewers are going to fill up with
Right.
gravel.
I'll get with them on that too. They do have that capability, and that's in the contract also.
Right.
Thank you.
While you're up there, how far are we from street sweeper being ready? I know we saw it,
Pretty.
June 30th.
That's a good
we
question.
saw it June 30th.
You saw it June 30th?
Yes.
The
but
company
you got
is
training and,
right now they're training. They're going over everything. They're putting on the gutter brooms, showing our employees how to put them on, what to watch for. Training this week. I expect them up and running next week, starting on the thoroughfares.
and that's one of 2 trucks?
We've got 2 trucks, and we got 2 operators, and both trucks will be hitting the streets.
So we do have both trucks?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have an item from council? No? Okay, we will close that and go into citizens' communication. We have, first off, Wilma Edwards. There she is. Good evening, Miss Edwards. Good to see you.
I already stated my name. My name is Wilma Edwards, 3503 Callis, Victoria, Texas, 77901. And I was coming to just remind you some things y'all had promised us to do. That's all I'm doing today. And then maybe from this time, y'all would do the job that y'all promised to do. Now, we have some street lights put on in Cali Street, but we need one more in between the two that's up there. That's on Cali Street. That's 3202. And we need a light there. And we're still having a problem. I think somebody just mentioned it. Patching the street, Prince Street is completely need work as soon as possible.
Can you repeat that again, the street?
Prince, P-R-I-S,
Okay.
Prince. And then we still have the big trucks coming from, I can't think of the company, but they still coming down Cali Street. You might help me remember that company that has those big trucks that pick up trash and pick up trash. U-Haul, no, what is it?
Waste management?
Oh, they pick up, I'm gonna say I don't know what they pick up, but they some big trucks right down off of Pleasant Green Drive. Nobody's been in my neighborhood then, because I can't think, and y'all haven't been out there. It's okay, but that's what those big trucks is coming down Cali Street, and they make lots of noise, and I mean, it's constantly. So we need.
The recycler?
You got it?
The recycler?
Management.
Waste management?
West manager, somebody just said it. Yes, those trucks that keep coming down there, and that's messing up our street. And then, this is something y'all didn't promise us, but we have transportation people that come on the buses, and right in front of my house, they don't have any seats to sit in, they don't have nothing to cover them up, like in other part of the city. You have the benches and a cover.
Transit shelter?
And we have a lot of people that's catching that bus right in front of my house. And I promised them I would talk to y'all about that because it's needed, because they are using that transportation.
What is your address?
3503 Callis.
Okay.
And this is to the Park and Recreation Department. You promised us that y'all was gonna change MLK Park. Y'all have a contract, or y'all already have that down somewhere that y'all was gonna do MLK Park. And nothing's been done out there. And while you're out there, we need to put a shade on top of the basketball court. That's not in the plan, but we sure need that. And as I was coming out, I was gonna tell y'all must have a garden in Silver City. But then when I stepped out my door to come to the meeting today, they was cleaning the streets. So I said, oh my God, I can't say nothing about that. They're not doing nothing, but that's one start. So please come visit us in Silver City. And you have my address, and we will be having a meeting trying to tell you exactly what needs to be done that I'm not talking about today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards.
You're welcome.
Mr. Harley Fisk.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and interested citizens. Over the next 6 weeks or so, you will be looking to fill a number of advisory board positions. I ask that as you review the applicants, you make every effort to select individuals who will represent all the citizens of Victoria, not just their neighborhood, their social group, their church, their special interests. Victoria is a diverse community composed of differing age groups, races, religions, educational levels, and economic status. We live in houses, apartments, senior living residences, and on the streets. We live alone, we live in family units, we live in group homes. Our families have been here for 7 generations. Our families arrived last week. At home, we speak English, or Spanish, or Vietnamese, or Arabic, or any of a multitude of other languages. We are rich, we are middle class, we are poor.
We attend any of the over 130 places of worship, or we don't. We are straight, or lesbian, or gay, or bi, or trans, or unlabeled, or any combination of these. We are many things. Mostly we are the citizens of this great city that sits at the crossroads. We are not Austin, or Houston, or San Antonio, or Corpus Christi. We are Victoria. The individuals that you choose to sit on any and all advisory boards need to understand that they represent this tremendous and beautiful diversity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisk. Got a special guest today. We got Commissioner Gary Burns here. Welcome.
I don't think it's anything special.
Well, it's good to see you.
Appreciate it, y'all.
You bet.
We had an advisory meeting yesterday with our animal services, and a lot of issues have come up. We have a new director that I can't say enough about. I mean, he is tremendous. I tried to run it for a couple of months till we found somebody, and I was a total failure. Didn't know what I was doing, but Mark came in with the experience, and he's tried to save a lot of our employees. There's been a lot of changes out there. One of our employees, am I talking too loud?
No, you're good.
One of our employees may be rude for somebody. Mark fades the heat for him, and that happened last night. A lot of challenges. There's a lot more animals hitting the street. People are not spaying and neutering. They're not taking care of them, and it falls on us. And somebody called me, well, I've got 4 dogs. Come pick them up. Okay. Come to the animal services and tell me which 4 to put down. And it's tough. It's all over the nation now. It used to not be too bad up north, but now it is. And we're having a hard time adopting them, although our kill rate is down substantially since Mark's got here. And sometimes we're beating our head against the wall. They don't have adequate facilities. They don't have adequate staff. And a lot of it's our fault. But a lot of the issues being brought up, I suggested that we try to get one member on the advisory committee from city council, because y'all need some feedback. Not a representative, but one of y'all. And sometimes we have a hard time working together, but that's something we need to work together on this. We're open for any suggestions. And like I say, I'm real pleased. I'm excited about the turnover and the new employees. And he's turned a couple of employees around that I was ready to run off, and they're 2 of our best people out there. But it was education, and just training. And we hadn't been providing that, but Mark does. But we would sure appreciate if y'all could get one representative on there. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. And then the last one we have tonight is Mr. Von der Rohe.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
My name's Michael Von der Rohe. I live at 2204 East North Street, Lot 28. We have a lot of illegal camping, and instead of no loitering signs, they should put no camping signs. And a lot of that's going on at 1302 East Rio Grande. People live there, and they trash out the place, and no one's to clean it up. And last time, code enforcement had to hire a contractor because the owner of the place didn't want to take care of it himself, so they just hired a contractor and took care of it. And it's really in bad shape. And there's bicycles behind there. There's a whole bunch of bread rows with ants crawling all over it, beer bottles, beer cans. And, the police do their job and, put a trespass warning on them and stuff like that. But I hold the owner accountable, because the owner's just turning a blind eye. And you probably wonder where it is. It's where that big old thing is that says Mr. Nice Guy's Smoke Shop, and that's all we need is a hemp shop there, and all the homeless going to be spending their last $10 on it. And I wish someone could take care of it. And that place called Red Rim, that they sell hemp, and behind there you got a homeless person living there, and I wish they could find a more suitable place for him to live. And last time they fixed the fence that they knocked down, and they knocked it down again. And this ain't me picking on the homeless, because I seen someone from the city council littering, I'd probably report them to Jesus, or I'd turn them into code enforcement. It's not me picking on homeless people or poor people, no matter what your background is. It don't take much to pick up your trash. At that pawn shop, they got a bunch of tree branches they trimmed like a month ago, and no one's taking care of it. And they do leave that dumpster open, so if the homeless need to take care of it, they could. But they don't pick up after themselves, and it's all right by the Salvation Army. And I wish someone from the Salvation Army could refer them to a place to live and stuff like that. And also, people are taking a shower in the public library and washing their clothes there. And they do got a policy against that now, and they got alternative places to take a shower and stuff like that. But I wish you could look into it. In the old West Key, there is a whole bunch of people living there. And I think they should have to have a permit before they go there. I realize it's illegal and stuff, but that's it. Have a good day. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Vonderow. Okay, this evening, we do not have any items with public hearings. We'll go into the consent agenda. Ms. Hilbert, will you please help us out?
Yes, sir. Item D1 is the adoption amendments to the regular meeting on June 20th, 2023, and a special work session on June 30th, 2023. Item D2 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with the Texas State Library and Archives Commission for a grant award in the amount of $41,675. Item D3 is a resolution approving the purchase of emergency medical supplies from Boundtree Medical LLC via governmental purchasing contract by board contract 610-20 and an estimated amount of $230,000. Item D4 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the second amendment to the debris management contract with Ashbridge Incorporated of Deerfield Beach, Florida. Item D5 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute all demolition contracts related to the CDBG DR flood buyout programs, GL contract 20-066-007-C041 in an amount not to exceed $400,000. Item D6 is a resolution approving the amended renewal of the city's participation in the Texas Enterprise Zone program in support of DTAR healthcare system.
Thank you, Ms. Hilbert.
Motion to approve. Consent agenda.
Got a motion and a second to approve. Ms. Solis on the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. E1.
Item E1 is a resolution approving an amended renewal to the city's, appointing members to the Golden Crescent Regional Planning Commission. Did not prepare a presentation, but I can explain to you that we do have two positions to appoint to. They're both General Assembly members, and then the second member is also serving on the Board of Directors. Currently, Councilman Lofgren serves on the General Assembly and Board of Directors, and Councilman De La Garza serves on the General Assembly. They're both willing to be reappointed if council so wishes, or we can choose others.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all right.
No, go ahead.
I was
Well,
gonna
I was going to say you're serving
Oh, okay.
as well.
Yes. I move we accept item E1.
Second,
You have,
with the names.
yeah.
Oh, with, okay, Mark Laughlin as General Assembly and Ricky De La Garza, General Assembly. Right?
Okay.
Both?
All right. Well, I want to say a couple of words. This last year, I know Mark and Josephine, y'all have put in an inordinate amount of time going through that CDBG mid-mod funding. I saw the frustration. I saw the work that y'all put in to come up with really an equitable solution across the whole region without giving up what the city of Victoria would get out of it. Appreciate all that time y'all have spent doing that. I know it wasn't easy. It wasn't fun in an unair-conditioned conference room. It leads to higher frustration levels, but your dedication has not gone unnoticed, and really appreciate it. And thank you for your service and continued service too.
Thank you.
So-
Mark did a lot of the background. I just said yes. You got to do that, okay. Yeah, but it wasn't easy. There
I'm
was,
just glad
you
we
know,
got, I'm just glad we got $19 million.
Yes,
Yes,
after so many.
made a big difference
hearings.
to us in our drainage projects.
Yes.
Yes, Ms. Conley, would you like to say something?
I would, please.
Yes.
Good evening. I wanted to take this opportunity really quickly to highlight the service of Councilwoman Solis, Councilman Lofgren, and Councilman De La Garza in representing the city on the Board and General Assembly of the Golden Crescent Regional Planning Commission. As the mayor mentioned, along with everything else associated with service on the Board of Directors over the past year, they completed the process of determining the method of distribution for CDBG mitigation funds. And I attended most of these board meetings and witnessed the challenging process. There were times when it was confusing and difficult. And of course, it was complicated considering how the decisions would affect individual allocations. But the board worked hard to come to an agreement, and our council members advocated for the city ultimately in cooperation with our neighbors and our council of government. I very much appreciate and am proud of the work that you did for the city, and thank you for your continued service.
Thank you, Ms. Conley.
Thank you.
All right. Any further comments, accolades?
Thank you.
All right. With that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries, and we're into city manager reports. We have the Child Safety Program and proposed fiscal year 2024 program presented by Ms. Tiffany Toda.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am here to give the update for the 2024 program for the Child Safety Funds. As an overview of this program, it does incorporate the child safety grants, which applications will be opening next month, the Child Passenger Safety Program, and the program budget based on allocated funding. Our Child Safety Committee continues to contain representatives from various departments. There were a couple of changes this year just due to some changes that shifted around in the various departments. So we have 2 representatives from finance, both Katie Connolly and Victoria Reyna have been a huge help with this process. Myself from the municipal court, Adam West from legal, and then Sergeant Brandon Allen from the police department, who's over the traffic safety division. Just as a reminder to the public and to council about the process for the grants and how the funding is awarded, the organizations eligible for funding need to be a nonprofit organization, non-taxing entity that operates within the City of Victoria limits, but not necessarily exclusively. So they may serve a larger population, but they have to have their business operating within the city limits. And those that they serve must show numbers from those that reside within the city limits. And then they must be eligible for an eligible use category, which pertain to child safety abuse intervention and prevention, and then drug and alcohol abuse intervention and prevention. There are a few things that the committee will look at upon reviewing the applications, and that is document compliance. Did they get the documents we needed completed, and did they submit them timely? Did they attend one of the workshops available during the application period? Are they providing services to the children, and what do those numbers look like, and how many children are they serving? And not only their fund request, but did they use their fund previously? Since we are now approaching our 3rd year with this program, we are also taking a look at, did they use the previous funding? Did they submit their documents they needed? The form requirements will be posted on our website when this goes live August the 7th on victoriatx.gov/child safety program. The grant application and program budget form are 2 forms that we provide to the applicants applying. They will also need to submit their IRS Form 990 and their IRS tax exempt designation letter. There will be additional documentation that may be needed from applicants depending on their request. If it's related to a specific project, then we do also want to see quotes and things of that nature along with their application to show where the money will be potentially spent if allocated. This is our proposed timeline for the grants for this year. So applications will open on August the 7th. There will be 3 applicant workshops throughout the duration of that timeframe, hosted on Wednesdays during that timeframe. They will close at 5 p.m. on August the 25th. Then we will review the applications as a committee and make funding allocation recommendations to the organizations on September the 1st. They will have an opportunity to appeal that, and then we'll bring these back to City Council at a meeting to then have you all give that final approval. And then effective October 1st is when those agreements would go into, if approved. This is our performance standards to date currently on this program. So we had 4 applicants that were awarded grants in this current year. 1 is completed entirely and 2 have been partially reimbursed. They are given their funding back based on a reimbursement basis. They submit documentation to us quarterly. This month is the 3rd quarter reporting period, and we've not received any requests this time to get reimbursements. Of those that have provided updates, some of this is incomplete data. Not all the organizations have given updates, but those that have, there have been over 2,000 units of service provided to 1,543 children. 84 volunteers from these organizations performing a little over 1,200 hours of community service or volunteer hours for those organizations. And then we did have 2 new child passenger safety technicians that we've added to our group as things have changed around and lost a couple here and there. So we're trying to maintain the number that we have within the organization. Right now, I believe our number is 12 child passenger safety technicians amongst the 3 public safety entities. We've had a few car seat events, either on site here or in the community. A total of 41 inspections have been conducted, 21 new seats issued, 11 destroyed. We continue to see things that need to be improved on, so we continue to see things that where children are not arriving properly restrained to some extent. Maybe the wrong car seat, maybe the latch or the area that their chest plate is at is not in the right spot. And we've had 2 events so far, and we are planning a 3rd one for Child Passenger Safety Week in September. And more information will come out about that once we have secured a location. These are our 2 new technicians that we've added. So Tara Tinney on the left there, and the red is from our municipal court. And then Mia Gallegos from the police department also went through this training in back in June. And so we've added them to our group. In fiscal year 2023, the funding that we received was $84,517, or projected to be at that. And then for next year, we're continuing to see a steady amount coming in with the vehicle registrations. And just as a reminder to the public and to the council where this money comes from. So this is money that is actually paid to the tax assessor's office when people register their vehicles. It's $1.50 that is added on to vehicle registrations, and then we obtain or get about 62 or 72% of that comes to the city for those vehicles that are within the city limits. And so we use that funding towards both the programs related to not only the grants, but the car seat program. And then this is the budget allocation preliminary, if you will. And so we're looking at a grant budget of $50,710 allocated to various organizations that would be eligible for that. And that is based on a 60% allocation to those organizations. So City Council previously set this limit, if you will, 60% going to them, 20% for the Child Passenger Safety Program. The proposed preliminary budget for that is $16,905, and then we leave the remaining amount in our fund balance. We are projecting an ending fund balance at the end of this fiscal year of $205,274. We did start this program with a balance, so it allowed us to continue having it. So we do not necessarily spend all the funds each year, since we started that off with a balance that helps keep us, ensure this program can continue to thrive. And I am here for any questions or comments or changes you may have.
I have a question out of curiosity. In your statistics, you had one for units of service. What does that mean?
Yes, so units of service provided, you may have an organization that sees 1,200 kids, but one child may get more than one visit to that organization. And so they may not see that child just one time. And so they're showing that, yes, we may have this many children come through, but we're actually seeing this person through multiple sessions, whether it's counseling, whether it's maybe a class that they're taking with their organization. And so sometimes those children are getting more than one service from that entity for that proposed program that they're requesting funding for.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Toda.
Go. Well, this is Jason's last official presentation to you, and so I know he's prepared it with a show. No?
No.
All right.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. How are y'all doing today?
Good.
Good. Just wanted to talk with you a little bit about Parks and Recreation projects and trying to get them involved.
He's just happy he's going to be gone. Is that what it is? No, he's not. Man. He hadn't been this happy before.
Yeah, I'm actually a little nervous. I don't know if it's just because it's the last one or if it was lunch today. I don't know what it is. So, but yeah, so I'll go through a couple of Parks and Recreation updates. Definitely want to get some direction from y'all in regards to some of the signs that we've been talking about for the duck pond and the dog park. So I'll go ahead and get right into it. All right, the first and biggest one I think that we have is the duck pond. So I just wanted to take you through a really quick snippet. Whoops, getting a little too click happy here. There we go. It's got a pause. There's a delay. Boom. Okay. So there we go. That was one of the first. Nope. That was one of the first pictures. It's about to come up of. Okay.
Backward.
Now it's going back.
Yeah, maybe we do have some entertainment here for you tonight. Let's try this one more time. Click. There we go. It works now. Okay. Back on track. So this is one of the first pictures that we have of the duck pond actually starting to have some dirt moving. The next one here I think is really neat. It shows a little bit of what was hidden underneath some of that muck and some of the just water and erosion. And then we start the process of actually excavating all of that silt out. And of course, Lester Contracting has been really great to work with during this whole process. This is a picture of the right-hand side of the duck pond. You can see a little bit on the right-hand side as well that there's some already some pavement or groundwork, if you will, laid for that sidewalk. And then, of course, it's starting to move forward. We get all the muck out. We have the retaining wall that's going up for that sidewalk, starting to get things cleaned up and shaped a little bit more. And one of the things that I wanted to note on this one is that there are these big, huge piles of debris. That's going to be for that fish habitat. So all the trees that we were able to take out, we reused as many as possible from the duck pond to be able to have an establishment for fish habitat. And then we have a boardwalk that was getting installed. That was part of the whole connectivity for the entire loop system for the duck pond. And everything's starting to take shape. We have some electrical that was being completed with those pedestals. We have the gazebo outlook with that nice finish along both sides of the sidewalk. We have the lampposts that have been installed so far. I think they're waiting on one or two more to be erected, and otherwise we're pretty much looking to get everything completed like we talked about, October of this year. This is a nice picture of where the water is coming from. So you can see in the background that there's a pipe. That pipe is connecting the duck pond irrigation, which ultimately will fill this pond and make sure that the pond stays stable as far as water. And then, another close-up picture of it. One of the biggest things that we are, and this is a good shot from last week, we did start to fill up the pond about 2 weeks ago. It's a slow process. We have to get the pond filled up in order to install the pier. We have a pier that is going to be a floating pier that is in the duck pond, and so that'll be installed in next month. The gazebo is on track for September. And hopefully, when it's all said and done, that's what it'll look like. We'll have the fountains up and running. And yeah, we'll have a fully looped system with the duck pond. There's a couple of things, and it's noted on the next slide. We have a couple of things that are still outstanding. Again, one of them, a couple of that I mentioned earlier, the gazebo, the pier. We have some parking lot enhancements, but we are still on track. Everything is still on track. It's in budget. We're ready for October of this year. One of the things that I did want to take just a quick moment on, like I said before, we are working with with Half Associates to create this design for the duck pond and the dog park, the sign, the entry sign. And I'll have some slides on that in a little bit that I'd like to get some direction on from City Council. But one of the things that I wanted to note in this graphic is that if you look really closely, and I'm sorry it's not blown up a little bit more, but if you look really closely where it says McWright Drive and just to the entryway of that, you see it's kind of an arch, if you will, with some stone. And then also over on the right-hand side where the parking lot is at, you see another arch entryway, if you will. We wanted to just ask for your feedback, see what your thoughts were. Hopefully, if funding allows, we can complete 2 signs, entry signs that'll move into the into the duck pond. And these are the locations that we're looking at. Just wanted to throw this out there. Are you comfortable with those locations? If we had to go down to one just for funding, is there one in particular that you would prefer over the other?
I would say the one on McWright if it was just one, because if you're passing by, just the visibility of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect.
But it would be great to have 2 because the other one is where hopefully most people would be parking and entering from.
Yes, ma'am.
But
Okay,
I agree that if it's just one, it would be McWright.
perfect. So again, hopefully funding allows us to be able to have these 2, and then that way we can move forward with that. But just wanted to just get your direction. If we only had one, where would you like that sign to go? Perfect.
I have a question. Well,
Yes,
not a
ma'am.
question, just a comment. When I got here a while ago, there was 2 little ducks with a bunch of little babies, and they were right outside. I was going to take a picture of them, but, you know, I don't know, they're pretty, it's dangerous for them to be right there. They were crossing Main Street.
Okay.
And they got under one of the trucks, because I guess it was kind of hot. But it was cute. It was a whole family. So if you can, you know,
Josephine,
pick those up and use
we
them.
actually get those in the downtown pretty often. You'll see them all over, little families of ducks.
Oh, okay, so just long as nobody runs over them, because it looks so cute.
I can't guarantee
The
that.
little
but-
ducks are about that big.
Oh, yeah, they're adorable, but you see little families all over the downtown quite often, and they come from over in the river.
Oh, okay.
So say they're trying to find their way back home to the duck pond.
Yeah, you see, they need the duck pond, you know, you turn them out.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I have a question about, are we
Yes, sir.
gonna restock the pond with fish?
Yes, sir, we will. That's part of what we have in this upcoming, and the proposed budget for this upcoming year is for fish to be restocked. We are working with TPWD Inland Fisheries Division to make sure that we have the proper fish stocked.
Is there any type of snake control that we can take or provide for the lake? Water moccasin?
That I'm not aware of any, but that's something that we could look into. But being in close proximity to the river, I'm unsure of what all we could do, but we could look into that.
Mr. Alfaro?
Yes, sir.
How many parking slots are in front on McWright Drive and then is in the parking lot itself?
That is a great question. I believe.
Well, thank you.
Oh, that's a great question. That's something that I can get information to you on. But I can tell you that we're not losing any than what we had originally. It would be the same as what's currently
Well,
there.
and that's perfect. I foresee this when this opens up. The public has been wanting this for a long period of time. And everybody's going to be very excited at first. And I'm just trying to figure out where parking is going to be because it's going to be full and where's additional parking? And have we thought about letting the public know where to park? Because I think everybody's going to come out at
there's
the
some-
exact same time.
Yeah, I think,
Overflow on the golf course parking lot.
Okay.
Towards
I
that
just-
end where those
some
those
signage.
barns aren't used anymore.
Sure. Some signage
yeah,
early
definitely,
on may
we
help.
can definitely look at signage. We can get more specific details on number of parking spaces and provide
Sure.
that to you. But I was gonna make the comment that the mayor made. You can't really appreciate it in this image, but there was a sidewalk added to connect the golf course parking lot to, I guess, the left-hand side of this image here, to help with overflow parking.
I just want to make sure that, we're cognizant that this is going to be a rush, I think, early on, and signage
Sure.
for the public would help.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
I have another question.
Yes, sir.
Maybe not as great. But where the
tough act to
parking
follow.
that he's talking about, that used to be a pavilion that could be leased out for barbecues and parties and, you still have that little awning there. Is that pit gonna still be there, the barbecue pit?
Yes, sir. We're not changing anything
But-
with that side.
Okay, so is that gonna be open for someone to lease? So if there's a party in that area, so what's gonna happen with the parking?
Park in the golf course.
Golf course.
Right.
It was a good
Golf
question.
course
I can see.
parking lot.
We,
Not golf course.
we still plan on having that for rentals, as you had mentioned. I mean, weddings or anything that want to, they want to have a picture taken right there at the gazebo because it's a really great backdrop. We are looking at having some signage and just kiosk, a small kiosk with information as far as, pavilion rentals or anything like that. But yes, to your point, if there is overflow that's needed, it would be over at the golf course or right there in McWright.
Behind the awning, the same one that we're referencing, there seems to be 6 little items on a concrete pad. What are those 6 little items? Teepees?
Those were the duck houses. No, sir, they had that in the original concept, and the way that this rendering was, it took those original designs into account, but that's no longer there. Those would have been additional picnic tables. Yes, sir. So that should just be green. That should all just be green space, and the only thing that's going to be there is the pavilion. The covered pavilion with the picnic tables underneath that.
Is there a possibility of any further parking back there and behind there?
Expanding
The awning, around the awning, or since it's still gonna be open for lease?
For rent, I think probably not because of the golf course. I think if there are opportunities for more parking, it's probably more similar to right off the main street, similar to right in front of the duck pond, where you kind of just design it to where you just pull in right off the road, as opposed to, a parking lot. We can certainly explore those opportunities to improve parking along this area if we envision it being a, heavily utilized area. But the golf course parking lot does have parking spaces available. And so I think part of it, is simply signage, people walking over. Obviously now there's a sidewalk to connect to that side of the pond to the other. So we can kind of gauge that to see how that plays out.
Sounded like your answer was there's not a possibility of parking around the awning.
I personally don't think so because of the proximity to the golf course, because the golf course is already just right on the other side of that tree.
Yeah, this doesn't really, for scale. I'm not sure how tight it would be over there and what that possibility would look like.
Are you saying that the parking for the golf course is over here where these blue
Yes,
buildings are?
on the left.
Yes, ma'am. So pretty much right there at that curve, just to the right of the arrow, that sidewalk is transitioning into that parking lot, just the opposite way, James. Yes, sir.
That's
to
a
the
long
left.
ways to walk.
No,
If you're
it's
gonna
just,
have a-
it's just as close as that parking lot on the right.
Yeah. it's
No,
just
no,
as
no,
different.
but you
Part of
think,
the pond.
if you're trying to use this parking lot for overflow, if somebody's having a party over here at the awning,
Exactly.
it's gonna be too far. I mean, you can't even carry.
They can walk.
It's
It
a
won't kill them
park.
to walk.
Too far to carry
It's
an
a
ice
park.
chest.
It's a park.
I don't
You're
think it's
supposed
any
to
further than it used
exercise.
to be.
Active transportation.
Yeah, but you had parking right there underneath.
Keep in mind that this improvement isn't taking anything away. So while I hear that there's concerns around events taking place at this pavilion, we're actually drastically improving it by creating a safer walking condition and actually connecting that directly to the golf course parking lot. Previously, that wasn't the case. So somebody would park in the golf course parking lot, have to actually walk on the street
Exactly.
to walk over there. With this improvement, they can take the sidewalk. So I just want to be clear that while I agree with your concerns, those concerns aren't because of our project and the duck pond improvement. That issue has existed previous to this duck pond improvement project and will continue unless we explore something completely different.
I think it needs to be explored,
Yeah, understood.
additional parking.
I think we should let's see if we have a problem first.
Yeah, I think Mayor Pro Tem is right that there's going to be a crush right at the beginning, a lot of people showing up. And then, once
once everybody's seen it and we've gone back out there, let's see what it looks like. And if we need to do something at that point, that makes sense. But the reality is, we have the same amount of parking and it's the same distance as it was before. It's just more accessible now. So.
And I do think
let's
if
see if
there,
we have a problem. then
and I
we'll
do
look
think
at it.
if there was, I mean, I could tell you right now without having to have science look at it, that the easiest thing to do would be to look at expanding the golf course parking lot. You know, some of those sheds could probably be demolished because they go unused. Some of that parking lot can be built in. If you're familiar with the golf course parking lot, it kind of narrows as you approach the duck pond. And so there's possibilities, you know, with the money to rebuild some cart sheds in a different manner to build another surface parking lot on that side.
That would be a good idea.
But that'd be the only space that there'd be available.
Right. Any other questions related to the duck pond?
So if you have money for a third sign, you could put it at the golf course driveway or sidewalk.
Yes, ma'am. Wonderful. Okay, and so just wanted to wrap up the duck pond. Again, we are estimated at completion October of this year. We're about 90% complete with the project. And as I had mentioned earlier, we have 3 items that are still remaining with our contract with Lester, and that's the gazebo, the parking lot enhancements, and as well as the pier.
Another question.
Yes, sir.
Where's that water being drained from? That's draining into the duck pond? Is it from the river or from our water system?
It's from the well. There's a well source that we use, and that one pond is going to maintain the water in the duck pond, and then the same water is used for irrigation at the golf course.
Excellent.
Yes, sir. All right, the next one is Riverside Dog Park. This one is, it's been moving forward. They have started laying out the concrete here, or at least the trails, poured the concrete already. They have started, if you have been by, you've started to see the fence being erected around the dog park. The bulk of it is already completed. This is a picture from a couple of weeks ago when they started putting up the middle area, the timeout area. Everything in the very front and all the way leading up to the timeout area has this omega fencing. And so it's that more decorative fencing that what you saw in the previous picture with that black chain link or that coated chain link fence. And again, so this omega fence will be all along the front sign, well, a portion of the front entryway up to the middle, and then the rest of it will be that black chain link fencing. There is a section on the very back that'll be just regular chain link, and that was all part of the construction documents. Oops, sorry about that. Were there any questions with the dog park?
Looks good.
Thank you.
Saw it yesterday.
Thank you. So the dog park is still on track. We're looking at August of this year, so just next month sometime. We'll be wrapped up with all the fence and all the hydromulch. We're about 80% through with this project. We have about 5 items that we still need to get completed. We have a few water lines that need to be put in. The parking lot enhancements, they're going to have some seal coating over the existing parking lots. A little bit of fencing that needs to be completed as well. The hydromulch, and then the canopy will be installed. One of the last ones that I wanted to mention is the soccer fields. The soccer fields, there's 2 parts to this. We had a little bit of fields with fielder's choice. We still had a soccer field that needed to be complete, and so I'll show you that on this next slide. And that is supposed to be completed by August. We had a conversation with King Ranch Turf, told them that we needed to have this done. They told us that we would have it completed by August. And so they were on back order, if you will, from some of the other projects that they have with the grass. The other part of this is the phase 2. That's something that we had mentioned a few times just in council about, parking or that convention center slab being turned into a food truck court, as well as some limestone blocks to help facilitate, folks parking along Red River Street. And so we do have that.
Facilitate.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
To
We hope
not
to-
have
yeah.
them be on Red River Street. But the last field that we have that is still needing to be complete is basically where that arrow is at. This is This is a picture, just a snapshot. Red River Street would be to the north, Bluff Street to the right-hand side to the east. But that field already has irrigation installed, already has everything that it needs other than the sprigs themselves. So again, just waiting on King Ranch Turf to complete that last little portion of it, and then we're completely done with Fielder's Choice and the soccer field turf.
Jason?
Yes, sir.
When will that field be playable then? Because laying it down in August, it's not going to be ready in September, will it?
No, sir.
I didn't figure. Okay.
That is correct. We would probably be looking at spring at earliest, but it would be almost a full year, I would assume. Summertime, somewhere around there.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So this explains why a parking lot cannot be put there, correct, Jesus?
Yes, correct. You had asked about extending the parking lot behind, in essence, extending the existing parking lot more towards, I guess, the tree line.
Right.
And I had mentioned to you that we had planned adding another soccer field, and this is the one.
Awesome. Good.
And it will be used, trust me.
Oh, it will be.
Yes, sir. This is a site plan. Thank you, Engineering Department, Public Works, for this. They were able to help us mock this up, but this is a snapshot of what we're looking at in this upcoming budget, or this proposed budget, is creating a food truck parking lot area. So you can see that at the top, we have 3 rectangles, if you will, that show that food truck parking. And then also, what else can we do with that slab? Well, we know that parking is a concern, and so we wanted to address that. And so that's addressed in the site plan as well. And so ultimately, we're splitting that concrete slab in half, creating a food truck court area with the other half of it being some sort of a parking lot.
How many food trucks would it accommodate? I know we see 3 here, but how many electrical and so forth are you anticipating?
So the food trucks would be self-sufficient, so they would be running on generators. They would have their own, self-service. They can handle their own. So we don't need to supply electricity or water or wastewater to this area.
That whole length then is what you're looking at?
Yes, ma'am. In essence, so I would say anywhere from 6 to 10.
Wow. Okay. That's good.
One of the things too that I had misquoted, don't want to facilitate. So examples of the limestone block that we're looking at purchasing to be placed along Red River Street to reduce all of the parking along Red River would be something right here in this picture. These are 2x2x5s. And so, we had come up with a plan to create rocks or boulders and then trees. And so we would have these limestone blocks and then a tree and then some space and then limestone block and then another tree. Just to help mitigate anybody from parking along Red River Street and reduce the amount of people that could potentially get hurt or injured by a vehicle. So what kind of trees, I'm not sure yet. I'm assuming it would be some kind of an oak tree or some type of an elm, something that would get large enough to be able to, not have a 4x4 come up and just drive right over the top of it, So
if there's a major event in the park and there's an incident and traffic is backed up on Red River, will these limestones hinder the ability for the traffic to move over to the right in both directions so emergency traffic can make it down, or has that been measured?
We can work with Public Works and Fire Department on that. There's enough space, I believe, in that right-of-way that we can push it off to the side just so there's enough room for them to be able to move over, but not enough room for them to be able to park. Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay. Oops. All right. Some of the miscellaneous projects, the biggest one that I had mentioned were the signs. So we received 3 renderings from HAF Associates regarding signage for the entryway into the duck pond and the dog park. Dog park being the first one because of the fact that it's getting ready to be completed at the end of August. So we received these renderings. We were able to have a conversation with our Parks and Recreation Commission during our last meeting and presented these 3 signs to them. Their suggestion was number 1. That was their first suggestion. They liked the look of it. Number 2, they liked, but the limestone threw them off a little bit. And number 3, We'll just say it was number 3.
I like 1.
I like 1, too.
One,
Okay.
Good choice.
Perfect, perfect. And so with that direction, we'll go ahead and move forward with Half Associates, tell them to get a little more detail rendering for the next conversation with City Council and the Parks and Rec Commission. Part of what they're going to do as well is look at Izzy Drain's memorial plaque and where that location would be at. We are still in conversation with Lori Drain, Izzy's mother. And so just know that that's to come.
In that picture, you can see it on the left
Yep.
pillar.
yeah.
Is there a further conversation about carrying these, let's say, number 1, throughout other places of the park, particularly the entrances?
Yes, sir, absolutely. This would be the footprint for that. So this would establish a template for us to have at, say, the Rose Garden or other large amenities like that, if we wanted to have that at the entryway. But yes, sir, this would establish that footprint. Part of what HAF is doing is once we come up with a final design and we're all comfortable with it, they'll transition that into construction documents for us, so that way we can go ahead and just put it right out to bid.
And we will probably have to come up with a monument sign version that ties into that, because there will be some places where we won't be able to put an arch over anything. And so we'll just make sure that that design is consistent with the overall feel of the arch version.
Sure. So can you wrap this up in about 5 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so there's a big picture of it. Another thing, just wanted to make you all aware of the market feasibility report from SFC that's being finalized right now, and I believe that there's going to be some conversation with council in the next month or so regarding that report. And then still working with the children's playgrounds right across the street, right across the street from the office with JJ and Make-A-Wish Foundation. Some community collaboration that we've been working on just to keep you abreast of what we've been doing, working with Queen City Neighborhood Revitalization, community health assessments with the county, same thing with FitVic with the county, and then the active transportation plan with planning and development. One of the last things that I wanted to bring up is trees in the Parks Commission. One thing that we used to have was Tree City USA. City of Victoria was Tree City USA until 2017. And what we would propose is like to be able to be reestablished as Tree City USA. However, there are 4 components that we would need to be looking at to establish ourselves as Tree City USA. And those 4 standards are right there. I won't read them to you, but one of the biggest ones is having a community tree ordinance. And in addition to that, the other one is maintaining a tree border department. We've talked with our Parks and Recreation Commission. They would like to play a dual role and serve as a tree advisory board if the city council is willing to go that route. And basically what Tree City USA does is allows us to set a high standard. It tells the community that we're, very heavily involved with our trees. We like, urban canopy. We like the fact that it's cooler in our cities. We like the fact that our property values go up, all of those great things. And so what I would like to introduce on this next slide is just a basic idea of what that tree ordinance could look like. We would be focusing on public property, not on private property, only on public property. So that wouldn't have any additional process for us to be able to go through to remove any trees, trim any trees, or do anything in that regard. Private property owners still have the same right. This ordinance would not speak to anything that private property owners can or cannot do on their own property as it relates to trees. The only mention that it talks about or that we would look at adding in there is having the ability to prune a right-of-way from vegetation that's obstructing a safety issue. So coming up to a stop sign, making sure that we're able to prune that back, making sure that there's clear line of sight. And that would be the only thing that we would be looking at, that would affect private property owners.
Why can the city do something to a private property tree, but private property person can't do it to a city tree that may be hanging over theirs property?
Well, and it wouldn't be us going on their property to trim the tree. Even if the tree is on their private property, it's growing over into the public space, we're allowed to go in and cut it back just for safety. And so, I guess my answer to that would be just for the safety concern.
Would that be
Vehicles or
conversely
pedestrians.
true?
I'm
Yeah, I
sorry?
think his question is, if we have a tree in a right of way, let's say, and that tree's growing into a private property backyard, does that private property owner have the right to trim our
Absolutely.
tree?
No, but this is what this
Right.
says, that you can't.
But I guess my reaction to that is that hopefully, especially with our tree department and our parks people, we would have a better understanding of how to properly prune that tree, whether it's on private property or on a public property, than someone who says, that particular branch is bothering my property or overlying my property. I want it gone. I'm just gonna knock that one down or I think that's my reaction. It doesn't say that it won't be pruned. It's just saying that individuals can't do it, that it has to be the city.
Right.
My fear is you get into an ashplunk, or however you pronounce it, and the way that they trim trees on private property. And I would have to have a good discussion about that.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why this would, again, my assumption is the city would be the ones doing it as opposed to,
And we can get into the details of that once we actually put ordinance language together and things of that sort.
Did we used to have an ordinance? You said we used to be
We did, yes, ma'am. I believe the ordinance was first adopted in 1999, and it was rescinded in 2016, I believe. I believe the reason for that was, at least in the aim that I could find, was that the city was no longer participating in the Tree City USA program. For what reasons, I'm not sure, but that was the reason behind removing that ordinance from the code.
Ms. Solis, do you remember that?
No,
I don't either.
I have no
I
recollection
can't
of
remember
that. Three of us
what-
coming up.
remember all the trees that they cut down in Santa
I was on
Rosa?
the
That might
council
have been
too.
what caused it. Downtown, where they didn't want us to cut any trees and they went in there.
Bought a house and
Somebody.
Well, that was an
Yeah.
individual.
Yeah, but a lot of people got upset over
Oh,
that.
that's the one on Santa Rosa?
Uh-huh.
That was after.
That was after the ordinance was removed?
Yeah.
I will say that I did research this for Jason and watched that video, and no one asked a question about removing that tree ordinance. No, it was a presentation, but no one asked.
Doesn't even draw.
Could we maybe start with what that was and have that brought to us? And
Absolutely.
See what needs to change.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Usually a pretty good historian.
Previous ordinance, and we're working our way up from that.
All right, well, thanks.
Was that in 2017, you said?
I believe it was 2016. I believe so.
So that was before the hurricane? Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe the hurricane had nothing?
Okay, sorry.
That's really all I have. I'm not sure, you have any other questions on trees or parks or anything?
No, but thank you for your contributions to the city of Victoria. Hope you come back and visit us and see how things grow and how they prosper and how they blossom from the efforts that you have put into the department and the city.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, that ends the city manager report. We don't have a work session, unless y'all want to relook at the June 30th one. No?
Good, thank you.
You're good. We do have an executive session this evening, so we will recess into executive session. We're going to give about 5 minutes for the room to clear out. Ms. Hilbert?
The City Council will recess for executive session on the 18th day of July, 2023 at 6:18 PM. The subject matter of the executive session deliberation is Texas Government Code 551.087, 551.072, and 551.071.